25-26 school year for bargaining. Just a few reminders to everybody. Restrooms right down the hall, right down there. Cell service, good luck. If you're in the basement, there's no windows or anything like that. Just if you do step out that door, you're gonna have to knock to come back in because it locks behind you, okay? So just a warning on that one. Val, you wanna start, maybe we can introduce, we have a whole lot of new people in here, so if you wanna introduce yourself, we can.
So we'll hit introductions and then we'll talk about norms and what our normal processes are for collaborative bargaining. My name is Val Smith. I'm Chief Negotiator for CCEA. I actually am staff for the Florida Education Association, and my counterpart, Kim Hudson, will at some point be transitioning into this role over the course of the year.
Christian Gallery, science teacher at the Inverness Middle School, president of Citrus County Education Association.
Good evening, Brendan Bonomo, Director of Risk Management.
I'm Brian Toms. I'm Student Services Secretary at Citrus High School.
Hi, I'm Heather Greenberg. I'm paraprofessional at IMS Middle School.
I'm Sean Ear, Principal, Crestville.
Amanda Stringer, Assistant Principal, Citrus Springs Middle.
I'm Alice Merrill. I am the Coordinator of Federal Programs.
Rich Crowley, Assistant Principal at Lecanto High School.
Craig Bischofer, TRC.
Samantha Churchwell, third grade teacher at Lecanto Primary School.
Jardesia Churchwell, job coach at Citrus High School.
Gary Piercy, ESE Director.
Diana Sells, I'm a fifth grade teacher at Forest Ridge, and I'm the elementary director on the executive committee.
Michelle Howe, Data Secretary at Lecanto High School, and also the CCEA Secretary.
Bridget Merchant, Principal, Inverness Primary.
Shannon Florio, Assistant Principal, Hernando Elementary School.
Steve Baumer, Chief of Staff, Citrus County Schools.
Valerie Dube, District Secretary for Risk Management.
Yeah, I know some of you may have to leave early. I understand that. So if you have to leave, that's not a problem. We appreciate the time that you could be here. We will promise. I promise we'll be able to start a little bit quicker next time. We'll try to work out there always seems to be some sort of technical issue that slows us down. So we'll try to get that moving a little bit faster next time so we can start right after 6:30. So you want to go through the general rules that we have to,
Sure.
Yeah.
So just for the sake of familiarity, here in Citrus County, we subscribe to a collaborative bargaining structure known as interest-based bargaining. That is actually incorporated into our collective bargaining agreement. It is part of how we do business when we're at the table. And essentially, collective bargaining just speaks to all parties being able to come together in an environment where interests can first be shared and then discussed through a process where you kind of problem solve together and attempt to come to some solutions. Typically, our first meeting consists of creating a list of general interests that we can then use to develop agendas for subsequent sessions. Sometimes, from time to time, we've had the benefit of having a third-party facilitator participate to help guide us through the process. I think those of us who've been here before are familiar enough. We probably won't need a third-party facilitator again this year, but we do have the option of mediation if need be. If we come to a point at which we're finding it hard to reach a common ground understanding and a settlement, we can certainly reach out for assistance for mediation purposes. We haven't had to use a mediator, at least not in the 6 or 7 years that I've been working with y'all. So that's yes. A good sign. We work things out, right?
Yes.
And then each time we meet, we will choose in alternating turns folks to serve as sort of keepers of the process for us. And so we need, each time we meet, a volunteer from one party to serve as a timekeeper and somebody who is watching the clock for us, like not in a nasty way, but giving us like we all gotta be at work tomorrow, you know? And then secondarily, we need someone to keep speaking orders. So that's a taskmaster when we are taking turns speaking. Sometimes the chief negotiators are very involved in discussion, and it's hard to notice around the room who has their hand up. So protocol is when we're in discussion and you have something you'd like to contribute, raise your hand. The person monitoring speaking order will keep notes as to the order. And then when we get to a pause for people to share, we'll go through the speaking order to make sure everybody has a chance to be heard. Okay? It's kind of sort of the workflow. You do have in front of you a set of collaborative bargaining norms, and each year before we begin the process, we meet to review and just check and make sure that these norms are still appropriate and fitting. So I'll give you a moment to look through those norms and see if you have any questions or clarifications or anything you'd like to see added.
For those of you who are new, down at the very bottom, it says caucus. Just so you know what that is. A caucus is, if you're over the two sides of the caucus, we hit pause on the live feed, and we break out into two separate rooms to discuss whatever items we were talking about, or we need to step aside to make sure we're all on the same page. It's not necessarily a negative thing. Many times it's just, we just need to talk, make sure we're all, because a lot of people are on the table. So, but that is not broadcast, that is going to be paused. Typically, we would step out, CCEA would stay here in this room, but it is not broadcast. So if you ever do go back and watch the other ones, and it just seems like we just disappear for a little bit, that's what that is. Okay, so that's what a caucus is. It can be for a multitude of things. Happens a lot more when we're discussing economics.
Yes, it does.
But it can be for anything, even if we're talking about a normal topic, planning period or student contact time, anything like that. If we need to take a break and make sure that we're all on the same page, that's what it means by caucus. Any questions for anybody on here? We typically, we make sure that these things are out every time that we meet to make sure everybody just kind of remembers
Absolutely.
what we're doing here.
Absolutely. Okay, so we need to start by designating both a timekeeper and a process monitor, or someone to keep the speaking order. So we have somebody who is willing to watch time for us. Heather?
Yes.
You want to watch time?
Yep.
All right. So
Florida statute requires that teacher
Sorry.
completing some training
You want to
material
mute
down
that
there.
one?
Not at all. Not at all.
All right, so Heather Greenberg is going to be our timekeeper. And then since we have someone from CCEA keeping time tonight, we need someone for the district to be gatekeeper or monitor speaking order. Don't all jump at once.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we did get started a little bit late today. Typically, we like to, from the outset, establish what is a reasonable cutoff time so that our timekeeper can keep us on track. We're starting at 4:30. Typically, anything past 7:30 is in no man's land, right? People are fading fast at that hour. So, Steve, do you have a preference for our cutoff for tonight?
5 o'clock.
Let me talk fast
I was thinking too.
then. I agree.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All in favor?
No, but I agree, 7:30. And again, like we said, if any of you have to leave for whatever reason, we understand. We all have lives outside of this. So, but at 7:30, we'll have a hard cutoff. If we need to stay and talk about what the negotiation or whatever will be, we can do that, but everyone else could
Correct.
go about the rest of their lives.
So that is another norm of our collaborative bargaining is that we construct and share a coordinated message so that we're all on the same page and we're presenting a universal set of facts for the employees that we're here to represent. That's usually done away from the table immediately at the conclusion of a bargaining session. So the only other thing is, just because we said we can go to 7:30 doesn't mean we have to. Just putting that out there. So the main priority of business for today is, I think, to set our interests, get our interests out on the table, determine what are the main issues we're going to try to tackle this year, and then we'll need to make sure before we adjourn today that we talk about scheduling, right? To make sure we've got dates and times for next sessions. Okay. So in the process of identifying interests, we'll typically take turns. Each side will place an interest, and unless it's something that the other party objects to addressing or discussing at all, it's added to the list to be agended for future sessions. So would you like to lead, or would you like us to lead?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. So, later in the school year last year, CCEA conducted a bargaining survey, both the support and the instructional staff, to assess what were the common areas of concern and interests that they'd like to see us tackle during bargaining. And one of the prevalent and dominating issues that came up was the issue of work-life balance for teachers. And that related to both use of planning time and clarification of expectations for the workday.
Can you give any clarification to that second part?
It's a continuation of the conversation we started last year and I believe the year before, discussing some very nebulous language in the contract that refers to reasonable expectation of availability before and after the workday. We need to define it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I remember that, sorry, okay. I'm sorry, I've been taking note real quick. Felt like it was such a long time ago.
It's
Now,
been a minute.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's been a minute, a lot
Sorry,
has happened.
I really didn't know what you were speaking of. It came back like in a wave there. One of the things that we'd like to discuss, and it's been in the contract for a long time, I think Ms. Bonomo might have been on here or whatever, it might have been on there, is clarification of the dress code. It's in both contracts, in support and instructional. I do not believe it's been seen a long time. I believe the phrase windsuit is in there.
All right.
Yeah, that gives you an idea. Oh,
Circa
it
1980.
gives you a point of reference as to
There we go.
how long ago that was put in there. But
Okay.
some of you maybe kind of looking around trying to, yes, it's in there. It's quite interesting. So.
Fashions have
And
changed.
I want to say that they're identical in both. I do not recall exactly. I don't believe it's, but
Okay.
we'll see.
All right, our classified and professional technical staff would like to revisit the issue of inequities with paid holidays in the contracts. And we place that interest on the table in full knowledge that it is an economic item and will need to be part of an economic discussion.
So when you say inequities in the contract, you mean just within the support contract?
It's within support and it, yes,
Okay.
yes.
You can go ahead to your next one. Dress code and then economics were the main things that we want to talk about, so if you want to. Now that we aren't ready to discuss economics just yet, we're still. got some things.
We're glad you want to discuss it.
Oh, yeah. It's just-
That's exciting to us.
Wait just a hair on that one there. Get some more things clarified.
That's a very new one that you want to discuss it.
Well, every year, that's one of the first things I want to do.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, we would also like to address concerns related to student discipline.
What, any slight details on that one? I mean, it's,
I think partly it's related to leveraging statutory rights, teacher authority for removal of students from class and what that might look like. I think taking a look at the student.
Are you talking about removing student from the class roster? Or just like removing like misbehavior, you're out today?
Right, like statute allows a teacher who has a student who's been repeatedly disruptive or is impeding learning for other students as a matter of routine to have that student removed and request that the placement review committee.
You know, the whole committee thing, yeah, that's okay.
Go
I just didn't know, I didn't know if you meant like he's having a rough day, remove the kid, or if you're talking about, that's what I was asking. Make
No.
sure I understood, okay.
Yeah, specifically with addressing those statutory rights.
Okay. All right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I understood which one you were speaking of.
We would also like to discuss support evaluations.
The instrument or the process, which?
More process.
Okay. As we move closer to that, I'm gonna probably be asking for more details as to what exactly. So, just so you all know, there's gonna be some of these where we'll have to, we'll be asking if you can tell us in advance, so if we need to get someone down here who can speak student discipline, if I need to get someone from student services to be present, so that way we make sure we have the correct information. We want to make sure that we can get them in here in time.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely. I don't know that this necessarily ends up being a contractual issue, but it's a matter of rectifying some issues that people experienced at the start of this year. We'd like to discuss publication of employee work calendars.
I'm not even sure what you mean by that.
Specifically, notification of date of return to work, timely notification of date of return to work, specification of could be mistaken, but I believe it's the instructional calendar that's published on the website, correct?
Yes.
Publicly accessible as part of the district calendar on the website. Support calendars are not.
No, well, that, typically what you see there is the one that's for students and parents as well, so that way they know the half days that students would be leaving early, so that's the reason why I believe that was published. You're talking about the ones that would come from, like payroll typically has those calendars, is that what you're talking about?
Whatever it takes to clarify and remedy our support staff not having absolute certainty about the day they are to report back to work. And for us, it's about
Can I
having.
injecture in that? It's about, who staff members in the office not communicating to their support staff what day they are supposed to be back to school, the day they're supposed to be there. That's what we're referencing.
We think the
Teachers-
remedy might be a publication of those
Yes, a
calendars
publication
in
of
place
that.
that anybody can access, right?
So on the calendar where it says students, teacher, it should be support staff back there.
Okay, well, there's
There's a
quite
lot
a
of
few.
different calendars.
Yeah,
There's a lot of different calendars.
Oh, yes, there are quite a few, that's okay.
There were just principals who didn't
No, it's
communicate
not,
with
no,
their
again,
staff.
no, it's not a problem, I'm just trying to,
We think it's a need, there's something easily remedied here, whether it needs to absolutely result in contract language or not. We think
oh,
it's-
I think
A quick
I think we
solution.
can remedy the publication aspect of it, the understanding of what job position people have and which one is theirs might be a secondary confusion there, but, that's not because we do have people who, even they have the same job title, they work 202 days versus 206 days. But I understand, yeah, we have a ton of those calendars, so the publication of them isn't gonna be an issue. I think it'll be the clarification.
It's gonna be, because some employees work 196, 182, 181.
Yeah.
You got
201s,
197, you
yeah.
got 205s, you got, I mean, there's multiple
We can-
calendars.
Yeah,
that
We
we have to look at.
can
So
sure
little-
publish them.
So little wonder that there's confusion,
Yeah,
right?
so, no, I think that's something we can work on, yeah, you and I could probably sit down and try to figure out a way to help bring that, and we can bring that to the table and see if that's something that would make sense to
You guys
people.
are talking about that district-wide calendar, not just payroll, because I know payroll has multiple
Oh,
calendars.
yes, we understand payroll has multiple, but there was a lot of confusing with a lot of people that are new, that come in, what day they're supposed to start.
Yeah.
And I was letting them know that as a para, we start on the 8th, but there was a lot of confusion
No, I
for people who.
understand exactly, yeah.
Who wasn't
Very
told what day they're
ambiguous.
supposed to, the first day of work is supposed to be. They literally were never communicated from their principal to them or whoever, what day they started. And that was a
I
huge
can-
confusion.
I can see that power being 182.
Yes.
And you got an ESE office clerk, that's 211.
Yes.
That's also underneath, that's support calendar. I got you.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, so we probably, we're gonna try to maybe come up with one that lines up, but maybe a little,
First,
maybe,
I gotta figure out who does that.
well, then we have, well, the
makes
calendar
the
committee.
Maybe who does that thing?
But if we have one, if we have something that shows, hey, here are CCA, here's the CCA job chart with titles.
I'm thinking of Stacy's calendars that
I know.
produces stuff and then looking at that date, but then I don't know if it's gonna, I mean, we could put it in that, I don't know if it's gonna mesh well though. Cause you've got a ton of different, you got guidance secretaries that work, ESE.
I don't believe it's something that we would put
It
on.
would be a separate calendar.
It would not be put under calendars. If we put on the website, it would be put under employment.
Mm-hmm.
And then scroll down, like we have salary, CCA.
And then each
which is global,
category.
Professional, technical, and then there would be just a bunch of calendars underneath that.
Right, with maybe the job title.
Job title won't appear, and for these job titles, this would be it. Now, he can tell you my technology skills are very limited, so I'm just visualizing this, it's real easy. But if that's what you're talking about, like we have a chart with job titles, these job titles, start date, end date, that kind of thing, I believe we can probably come up with that, okay? If that's what, is that what we're talking about? I think employment would be a place where it would go on the website, not calendars. Because if you put it in calendars, I'm gonna have parents
Right.
looking and thinking their kids should be here the second week of July, but under employment, that would be a whole different category.
Could payroll not send out at the end of the year, like?
This isn't,
what,
payroll
their
does,
calendar?
payroll does, there's a whole
Payroll
different.
does send out calendars to all the timekeepers and admin, so I know when Stacy works on that world, that is like months in advance. And she sends it out to everybody saying, does this look good? Please check for everything before it's finalized and brought forward. So timekeepers and admin do have access to all of those different calendars.
But those calendars don't look like the one that's on the website either.
No.
Those are
I
those
know
with
when
the
I get
green,
mine.
and I know you've seen it
Yeah.
before. I'm trying to think of one that would be much more user friendly for somebody who's brand new. Am I right? The brand new people really
Yeah.
don't know.
Yes. I
Yes.
think one of the biggest issues
Yeah.
is just if you're para in the summer, you're out for the summer, so you're not in contact with school, anyone at the school, so what day do you come back? No one
There is nothing that says what day, do you come back the first day students are there, when freshman orientation? What day is your start date?
I will say at Lecanto, we've always gotten the calendars. And it tells us exactly what days we have off, what days we work, everything. The calendar is very well laid out for your amount of days that you work.
Yeah, we could probably come up with something like that, and we can bring back to the table. I don't know if it'd be the very next time. We can bring something, maybe like a draft. Now, they'll not expect it to be as color-coded as the one that's on the website for parents and stuff, but if we have one that says, these job titles, here's the day you start, here's your last day working. These job titles, here's the day you start, here's your last day working. I think that's the main thing we're talking about, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, and then whenever the new one is created and approved by the board, it shouldn't be hard for us to be able to say, job title, here's your first day working next year, here's your last day. Is that what we're talking about?
Perfect.
And I
we can
think
do
the
that, yeah.
solution is having it somewhere that's universally accessible, right? And so then it doesn't become the burden of an administrator having to chase people down to make sure, did you see it, did you get it, did you
Yeah.
check your home email over summer break? You know, that's, like, if it's in a place that's
Yeah.
universally,
Like I said, under the employment tab, I think would be the place for it to go.
I think so.
If we put employee calendars as an option, and they could go through
yeah.
support 251, here's your calendar, 197, here are these people, we could probably figure out a way to make that happen.
See, look at us already coming up with
Yeah.
solutions.
I thought you meant the payroll calendar, I'm like, those are confusing. But this would be a lot easier for a new person, they just go to employee.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, Brendan, you and I can probably try to work on what the calendar could look like, a draft one.
Right, I mean, this one, the 9/1/182, where it says August 8th is in a white box, so that's your
Yeah.
start date. But,
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
could do it.
come
Well,
up
we
with-
just, what happens is it's just job titles.
And
that
then
go
a
along
lot
with
of
it.
them on there.
Yeah, that's where it gets a little bit confusing, so we would just have to figure out a way to make that part work.
I think, well, if they know how many days they are, that's, I mean,
Well, here's the thing,
Not everybody
like,
knows.
182 is parapros, and you got health room attendants,
Yeah.
and then you got interpreters, so they're all underneath that umbrella, but then there is like at least 10 other calendars in the support classified and professional technical side, so.
And then there are people who don't know if they're professional, technical, or classified. So that could be the part where we may need the help here, maybe not no bargaining, but just some ideas, throw these back and forth to everybody. Hey, how does this look? Well, because we may have 8 or 9 titles with one, and I don't want people to get confused, but I think it's something we can come up with.
Yeah, no, I've
Okay.
seen your payroll calendar.
Yeah, the green with the, yeah, I know, that's, our new employees aren't gonna understand that. We need something, start date,
Just
Yeah.
for.
last day work.
That's just.
And with, of course, the caveat of,
Yeah.
if there's
But then you
storms
got-
or something that
like,
throws us off,
these are
something
the
like
ones
that,
you
for
want.
COVID would year
So-
or something. So I think we can come up with something that'll work for that out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, we would also like to, take a look at the Para to Pro, program. We know that it's been in place for some time. Presumably it works, so we're not still piloting it or anything crazy like
Well,
that?
I can tell you because I started this back in the day, probably
18?
2018 it started. And this year I have not kept track of it. Nancy Weaver's the one that's been, taking over a little bit. But I wanna say if my numbers are correctly, there's been 19 graduates that are in the program that graduated from a parapro, went through the internship, and are teaching in our schools right now.
Yeah.
19, I think is about the right number. I don't know how many are in it right now, but when I left HR, there was 14 in it. So it is working. I know some people, the biggest thing is you get your parapro salary during your internship. And if you talk to some universities like Central Florida and all that, you cannot. We actually worked out a special program and agreement with St. Leo to make that affiliation, to get them that pay, to get them to stay in one assigned school. So if it was Lecanto Primary, they would stay in Lecanto Primary and wouldn't have to go to Forest Ridge for one and Lower Lecanto High School for another one. They would stay in that assigned school, hoping that Fernando or IPS or whatever school they're working at, they would get hired there. So has it worked? 100% it has worked. It's been growing within, and that's how we sell it. And it's probably like 2 or 3 meetings a year that people can attend. they are welcome to attend. I know Dr. Mark Bruner is with St. Leo. He
Is it
comes.
still just St. Leo?
Yep, talks to the people about everything and talks about the workload. If you look at it straight up on paper, you go, holy cow, that's a lot. But if you actually work through the program, they actually work with you to, St. Leo has a good program, and we do too, 240 tutoring, to help you pass those tests. General knowledge tests, the professional ed tests, or subject area tests. We paid for the 240 program. I want to say we're still doing that. And that program does help a lot of people pass those annoying, lovely tests that the state requires. So there is that. In my eyes, it's still working and it's still going strong.
I agree. Anything that's going so strong, we need to put it in contract.
Now, we can get into that more specifically, but don't forget, this is an agreement that St. Leo's the major part of. So if they ever decide that they're no longer gonna offer that, then.
And I'll tell you the reason why we went with St.
Which is
Leo
why we would
was
want to.
because of, it was elementary ed there, and with elementary ed, you can graduate with ESOL and reading, which is prime real estate for a teacher right now.
Yes.
And then I know CF, I don't think they offer these classes yet, but CF is still pre-K to 3.
Yes.
So St. Leo still has that elementary ed, and for secondary, I know it's social science and ELA that they offer, and all those programs, you graduate with reading as well. And ESOL, which is what is needed right now.
Because I remember when he was in HR, anytime a school wanted to place an intern, we had to have an agreement with them.
Oh, yeah.
But they were never an employee. They were always, it's a full-time internship without pay. St.
So they are
Leo's-
considered a full-time employee while they're interning.
So they go through that.
For the period of
Parapro.
program, yes.
Parapro.
They don't lose benefits, they don't lose anything,
Nope.
they don't lose years of
That's
service.
what I would love
There's
to have in
no,
contract.
there's a continuity of that going through.
So their 1 day a week internship, they just do their internship, they put a TDA in, and that's their day there. When it's the 5 day a week internship and it's the full internship, they put a TDA in for the whole week. So that's documented that they're not doing their parapro job that day, they're being that parapro, that teacher that day.
Excellent.
And that, the stuff that we put into place for that, we had to work at it for a couple of years so that we did it right, and it has run very smoothly.
Yeah, I think you took that over right after I left, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we have a similar arrangement in Sumter County with Sumter ESP. We also have a memorandum of understanding that codifies their right to maintain employee
Can you
privileges.
send that to me?
I will.
Thank you, I appreciate
I
that.
absolutely will.
Okay, no, I appreciate it.
That's in Sumter, you said?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's too difficult to try to read through that whole contract they have.
But as far as, principals, I think some of you here had a couple of the parapro teachers, so,
Yes.
I think there's been at least one in
Yeah,
almost
we have
every
three.
school.
I was gonna say, I thought you had a couple. Yeah.
So,
That's great. We want to continue to support the
Yeah.
pipeline because we
Mhm.
think we definitely benefit from it. We are interested in finishing contract cleanup. Now, so you know, so everyone knows, this year both contracts are considered full book review. While we are in the process
You may want to
of.
explain what that means.
Yes, so statute provides that we can negotiate contracts for up to 3 years, right? Every 3 years, we renew the contract for another 3-year term, and at that time, we do what's called full book, where we can open up the whole thing and do whatever cleanup needs to be done. And a heck of a lot has changed in this district since the last time we did. I think the last time we did full book, we didn't even actually do full book.
We did review things.
It was a quick once over. So
Yeah.
we are definitely due for a cleaning. And this summer, we did have a contract cleanup review committee meet and take both contracts and begin the process of marking them up to identify typos, grammatical errors, misspellings, words that don't have any meaning, sentence fragments.
Some things were formatted 1, 2, 3, 4 in one contract, and in the other contract, they were just bulleted. it may not sound like much, but 1, 2, 3, 4 means there's an order in which things have to go. When it's bulleted, there's not necessarily an order in which things have to be followed, correct?
Yes, and bullets are also much harder to cite when
Yes.
you're trying to cite a portion of your contract. It's the third bullet from the right.
Or if it says in no particular order, and then we letter A, B, C, D,
Right.
which means there's a particular order. I do not understand. There's things like that we went through, and you don't realize it because as you're looking at a contract, you'll look for a section. You'll find that section and you'll move on with your life. You aren't reading it in a narrative, and as you do, you go, what in the world were they thinking? And the answer to that is, it was Brendan, because he was on it way before I was. Welcome aboard.
So as we're cleaning, it's not just the spelling, punctuation, and grammar stuff, which is kind of my jam, it's kind of fun, but it's also discovering that logically, there are chunks of contract language that have been inappropriately placed. So we have items that are included under, for example, teaching working conditions, or the teaching conditions, and there's a paragraph that speaks to the ability of up to 6 members of the bargaining unit being present for negotiations released for that purpose, just tucked right there in the middle of. Seems to me like that belongs with negotiations and negotiating procedures, but that kind of cleanup is what we're working on in the background, and so as we're doing that, we're also coming across some items that would necessarily be substantive changes that you would need to discuss here. The committee is their only real job is to spotlight, put a focus on these things that need to be looked at. You will be receiving, probably in the not too distant future, copies of marked up contracts with all sorts of.
Does it have the things that were on the side?
I'm pulling the
Okay.
annotations out,
Okay.
making it a little cleaner to look at, and putting creating a change log. So in a separate document, you can see a summary of the recommended changes and the places that we need to do a deeper dive. And so that will be coming to us soon, and that's probably gonna feel like a very heavy lift because it's a lot. But the good news is I feel like we're being thorough enough that when we get to the other side of these, the contracts are gonna be.
The changes that were made on there were done in committee. They weren't done, as Val said, in open session, so they are not in effect. We are the bargaining table right now, so if we TA it, then it goes to the board, and the board approves it, then it takes effect. So it's not in effect now. There was, as she said, just general cleanup, some things that come in the wrong place, things were just in the wrong section completely that needed to be relocated. So as you look at it, it's not like we have to go back and do all that again. Those were if you just notice and say, yes, this looks accurate, then we can begin to move forward as a bargaining team here.
So that will be coming, yay. And we also, having had what we felt was, I think, a pretty good collaboration during onboarding and new teacher activities and events this year, we would like to discuss time on the agenda for NTO and new hire events.
Define new hire events. The weekly meetings, that's whenever they bring in employees here to go over their health insurance.
We want to discuss what it looks like here. I know from my experience it looks different county by county. For example, in Hillsborough, they're churning through people so fast, they literally have like people cycling through their HR building every single day. So we may need to discuss what that might look like, but ultimately, being included on the new teacher orientation agenda seems like it worked to have an opportunity to introduce folks to their designated collective bargaining agent and to give them an opportunity to see who to go to if they have questions about their contract or representation for their contract. And with a lot of our support, they don't really Our support don't really have a new hire, do they? Just
They said
They
would
would bed down here, we,
Yes.
all of our support meet down, but usually down here. I mean, it's always in this room.
If it's big, it goes to the boardroom. But
Yeah, if
usually
it's
down
really
here.
big, we go to the boardroom. If not, we try to have it down here, and payroll goes over, hey, here's what your checks will look like. Mamie usually does the health insurance.
And we have that
someone-
represented from CBG.
Yeah, CBG, the ones who come out to the schools, go over the other benefits as well. That's what it is. When's the next one, you know?
We just had one last week, so I think it could be in another week or two.
Okay, if you want to, we can, if somebody wants to come in and watch it, it's at 3 o'clock?
Yes.
3 o'clock, it's a barn burner. I mean, it's, if somebody wants to
Sounds
come
like
in,
a good time.
if somebody wants to come in and watch it now, just understand, I mean, it's got people, instructional, it's got, non-union, it's got trades workers, it's got CCEA, so it's got everybody, it's just one for all employees who are coming in, okay?
Gotcha.
So, but, I like the new teacher orientation,
Which is
it's
very-
everybody, yeah.
Mhm. Okay. That is definitely something we'd like to have some conversation about. And then raises and insurance,
So, just a no and a no.
continuing to
Economics.
address compression
Very
on the
safe.
Oh, you're
schedules.
kidding me. Oh my gosh, compression.
I know, you thought that word was gone, huh?
I'm just-
Eliminated from our vocabulary.
I'm gonna be like my older kids and feel like I don't hear it.
Okay.
And we, oh, there's one other thing, if you don't mind, that, we'd like to discuss. I've noticed in some other contracts, they have more clarifying definitions, and we don't seem to have like any, like in instructional, like probationary isn't in there, like a definition of what probationary is.
Yes.
Okay, I mean,
Yes.
Brendan and I have talked about this quite a bit, you know, probationary, annual, PSC, continuing contract, it's not really.
Term teacher?
Yeah, it's not really, that term is listed, but not very well. If
Not
there
in the
were,
right place
if there
either.
were a spot for definitions, it kind of lists what
Yes,
everything
sir.
was. So that's something that we would like to.
Seniority.
Slow down. No, but,
Let's make all the
yeah,
definitions.
but I mean, but I've looked through other contracts and I was telling him, I'm like, we don't have this. We don't have a
Right.
definition for annual contract. We don't have, it's not spelled out, definitions, boom, boom,
Mhm.
boom, boom. And if we could do something
That
like
makes
that, I know
sense.
that's gonna take more time at the table, but we would like to have that laid out so it's a lot less confusing to people.
It does make
Yeah.
sense. The challenge with adding a separate sort of glossary of terms or an article with definitions for the contract is any definition you place in that section may or may not be altering interpretation of language that's existing in the contract. So if we define,
What about if we did it by statute, said per statute this, because there's probably a definition of what probationary is.
so here's the funny thing about probationary. Ask every district in the state, what does it mean for a teacher newly hired or having separated and being rehired after a break in
Break in
service?
service.
What a probationary year, how a probationary year is defined, because all the statute says is your first year. What does that mean?
It goes beyond that, it says unless there's a break in service.
Yeah, but is your first year, like, I
Well, I
got
know.
hired in March and worked through the end of the year, and therefore it's the first school year I was employed in the district, so my probation is done between March and May? Or is it you have to work half a year plus 1 day, just as though you were accruing seniority or time towards the FRS in order to have a year's probation? Is it a calendar year from the date you're hired? I think it depends on what's practice, what's current practice?
I know, well, not that.
Brendan knows, what's current practice, Brendan?
Usually we, for
Support.
teachers?
For teachers or support, 'cause it's two
Teachers.
different ones. The practice that we have been practicing is if a teacher is hired in February, the probationary contract goes to the end of the calendar year, which will be June something of this year,
The fiscal year.
fiscal year. So I think this year, like last year was May 31st, 2025, that was the end of the teacher contract. So probationary period that we have been using has been the start of the school year, which would have been 8/1/2025. I'm gonna say May 31st of 2025 within that year. So if somebody comes in April of 2025, their probationary contract ends in May of the last day of their contract.
Right. So statute doesn't say any of that. Statute kind of just,
Probationary year.
so my suggestion would be definitions are amazing. Let's get them in the contract so it's crystal clear to everybody exactly what's what, and then let's just do the double check
But
after we've got the definitions.
Support is totally different.
Cool. Well,
Support is
theirs is spelled out a little bit better in
90
contract.
days.
Right.
Yes.
Theirs is spelled out a little bit better in contract. The trick to putting the definitions in one spot is making sure that everywhere else we're referencing that word. The word seniority is one that gets some contracts in trouble, because do you mean district seniority? Do you mean seniority in the position that you're currently assigned? Do you mean, does that include seniority that you accumulated prior to a break in service? Does your leave time count towards seniority? Like that, there are some real questions to be answered when we try to define these terms, right?
Would it be an improvement over in no particular order?
It would be absolutely an improvement over all of those things, yes, so.
'Cause that infuriates me.
Mhm.
And then we listed A, B, C, D.
Yeah, I am
No order, but
not
we'll put
at
it in
all
order.
opposed to getting terms clearly defined in the contract. And making sure that if there are places in the contract where we're deviating from that specific definition, we've noted it
Mhm.
so that we're not
And the same- and the sa-
malforming the
And the same
contract.
goes for support whenever when you're eligible for continuing contract, it's spelled out as to exactly when you're eligible for continuing contract. You know, and it's in a place where people can
Right.
see it.
Right.
And they can reference it and say, oh, here it is.
And that's the great thing about moving things into contract, is that people frequently know to go and look in their contract for questions about sick leave and what does sick leave mean, right? Well, there's also statutory definitions for sick leave, but if you ask somebody to just go find the definition of sick leave from statute, I'm betting very few people are gonna be like right on that.
It's not that hard to
So-
find it.
Okay. Okay. It also could change year over year. Let's be real about statute, right? So,
Well, that's why, as long as it's referencing, not to violate Florida statute, so if they were to change, I know the legislature never does things like that, it changes things at the last minute. But if it were to, then I would make sure that our contract's not in violation of what a statute is. I just, as we've looked, as he and I have looked through other contracts, I'm just like, these definitions, we don't have these spelled out. They're here, it's their term is way down over here at the bottom of this section,
Right.
and it's not necessarily spelled out
Mhm.
as accurately as it could be, where it should be.
yeah. Well, and I think that, it's a primary function of having a collective bargaining agreement that defines, working conditions and, expectations, because people tend to retire. And they take with them all the knowledge of the systems and all the knowledge of past practice, and so having, things codified in contract helps, I think, give the entire system a little bit more stability, just my opinion. No, it's not just my opinion, it's a lot of people's opinion.
Oh, I agree, but there's stuff written in there sometimes that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, how'd it get there? Some of this stuff we're just gonna have to say is no longer practice and clean up.
Yes.
Bulletin boards where we're posting jobs at the work site,
Yes.
y'all are still doing that, right? Posting new jobs on your bulletin boards that you're.
We have,
The hotline?
we have a scrolling one right outside the board.
Okay, all right. So yes, it will be a big year for us if we can get through all of those things.
we had that question about the, Ms. Lowe had sent out an email about the ESOL paperwork that was going to be put in front of new hires and possibly in front of established hires.
It's already in front of new hires.
Right, so in front of the established hires, we wanted to talk maybe about some contract language that might make that a little bit of an easier conversation for them.
I would prefer, I think I know what you're talking about. She and I talked about this for, it seems like it was a month ago. Would we need to put something in contract for existing employees that would time out after a short period of time, or is it something that would be an MOU that would
With the
say,
grandfathered clause.
yeah, say, hey, those employees who are this, but if it's still a requirement, it's still a requirement. Now, if there's a time period, hey, you have until this time to meet that requirement. I'm saying 3 months. You have until this time to meet that requirement. Is that what we're talking about here? Because if it's a requirement that they have to have it, it's a requirement they.
So for the staff that we're talking about, it wouldn't actually be a requirement. They're mostly in a situation where they have never been required to get ESOL, and we just want to make sure that if there's a way that they could maintain.
Now, I can speak now. We've had some of them, I believe we may have a staff member or two that was required to that never did.
We get that.
Yeah, so, you know, if we start delving back into this, we could find people that are out of compliance for a long time, where if we say everyone must have this minimum, that needs to be done by this time period. Say, I'm making this up here. You know, May 30th, 2027, year and a half from now, not 6 months or something to that effect. Because it's not like it was back in the day where if you had to take ESOL, you had to get in your car and drive to Ocala for a class every week. It's done online now for those kind of classes.
There's two categories: out of field for ESOL, out of compliance for ESOL. So there's two different categories that we have to worry about. Out of field is the big one that we have to report, that is the primary ELA reading teacher. So at middle school and high school, you have an ELA class, you have a reading class. In the elementary world, it's the primary teacher that is labeled in ELA or some tiered intervention that needs reading.
3.
So at a field means that that teacher is labeled at a field and is now, we'll say the clock starts within their years to get ESOL on their certificate. And there's a couple of ways to do that. You go through the coursework and you get your 60 hours every year, document that on the out-of-field paperwork, and then that out-of-field paperwork has the transcript that shows you did the 60, you're good for that 1 year. Next year, you're out-of-field again because you don't have the full hours. So as soon as you satisfy the 1 year, you're out-of-field again, you take the other 60 hours. Get the transcript, you're good to go. If you have 120 ESOL hours, that makes you eligible to take the test, pass the test, get ESOL on your certificate. Or, which some people like this, add a field every year and take the 60 hours every year to get the 300 hours to get that on your certificate. Out of compliance is the one where you have, elementary has a couple of them, kind of like the PE teachers, maybe media. Secondary is more the big one where it's PE teachers, art, music, where they have to have a certain number of hours to be in compliance. I want to say PE, don't quote me if I'm wrong, is 18. So they have to have 18 hours to be in compliance for being a PE teacher. They don't need the full 300 like a reading, the primary reading teacher must have. So there's two different areas that we have to worry about.
And does any of that have any, the presence of an ESOL student within those courses or not? How does that affect?
So there's a couple of ways we can look at that. I will tell you, 24 years ago when I started as a teacher at Forest Ridge, we had to make sure that we had ESOL, I think it was like we had to have 60 at that time. and we had to keep on taking those courses. Times have changed because back in my day, 20-something years ago, principals would place the kids that had ESOL in the certified class teachers room. Gone are those days because ESOL kids are coming in left and right. Back in the day, we didn't see as many. But now we're getting more and more ESOL kids as we
So
speak.
it's the placement of the student in the class that triggers the need
Yeah.
for the endorsement.
Correct. Because you could be an art teacher, and you're gonna see that kid eventually, because that kid's gonna come around, same as PE, same as any fine arts teacher, you're gonna see that kid because you're gonna see that kid throughout the whole year. But if you are the primary reading or math, or even math, I think 60 for math.
60 for
So
any
even for
subject.
math
60 for
teachers,
the other
you gotta
subject.
have those, and that's compliance, not out of field.
So I think the language that we might be looking at, because we understood it to be that there are teachers who have gone their entire careers at this point, they didn't have those requirements at the very beginning of the career, they're on year 26, 27, never had an ESOL student placed in their
Don't know how.
course.
If they were on year 26 or 27, they had it,
Mhm.
because I had it whenever I started 28 years ago.
But I think what you're talking about with that ESOL agreement, it's trying to get teachers to start these classes because it's gonna be needed. I mean, unfortunately, I don't know how Orange County, Osceola County, Miami-Dade, they handle it because I know they see more ESOL kids than us. But it's something needs to start where teachers are taking those online trainings. But if you get 120 hours, you can take the test. And 240 Tutoring has that too.
We've, in the past, we paid for that, we added to their certificate.
Yes.
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 And pay for the pass test.
But yes, the pass test.
Right.
So, I mean, that's, and they don't have to take college courses, we offer the courses online, they don't have to travel to
I
do
think
so.
everything's in PD, I don't know where, Canvas.
Canvas now, okay.
On campus.
So, I mean, we can discuss that, just let me know whenever we
Yeah.
want to discuss that, and I'll, make sure that Ms. Lowe's here. She and Mr. Nomo are much more the experts at it, but I know that she showed me the document, it's very similar to the one that we have the new hires,
Mhm.
the agreement that we have them sign regarding that, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. Just let me know when we want to discuss that, we'll make sure that she can be here to talk about that.
So in situations like that, as typically happens, the start of the school year, sometimes we stumble across things that present as questions for us, and this seems like the best place to bring those questions for better understanding. And so we may tackle additional issues off of our interest list as we go. But my hope would be that we do have a pretty meaty cleanup to do, that we won't get too bogged down in too many of those side items. ESOL is definitely one I think we need to discuss. Anything else? Okay, so we know we're not going to be prepared to discuss economics super soon. Typically, I won't even say typical. You don't have the typical going on here in Citrus, because not only did we have a late start from the legislature with the state budget.
Could it have been any later, Val?
I mean, I guess it could have.
Could have been, right?
I guess it could have, coupled with questions about what's going on with federal funds, which have since, hopefully, both those issues now resolved. We know that in the background, there have been departmental changes in finance. So we look forward to having an opportunity to present some questions for clarification, and maybe you could go ahead and find out.
I would have introduced our new finance director, but today's her first day, and I didn't think of bringing her here on the first day. I mean, literally, she came in and she went to a meeting right at 8 o'clock. She didn't have her computer yet. She hadn't set up on Duo or anything, so she hit the ground running. She was actually she was here yesterday, meeting some people from finance, when they're cleaning some stuff up, so she
Right.
came in and met with them. So, but that's the only reason why she's not here today, is because it was her first day. I would have introduced her to everybody, but we'll bring her around some other time for you all to meet her. She's super nice. She's got a lot of experience. She's working down in Highlands County until, well, Friday. She was there,
all right.
working Friday.
Fresh
weekend over the
eyes,
weekend,
that's a
yes.
good thing.
Yes.
Okay. So, I did see that we received the rosters.
Yes.
And for the purposes
Thank
of
you.
costing and economics and discussions, we've gotten in a recent habit of creating a capture date, because y'all know how employee rosters work, they're constantly changing. So our capture date was August 11th, and, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like we're at like 1,100.
Oh, I don't know.
teacher
Yeah,
unit?
I didn't look it up. No, it's okay. I can't look it up on my phone, but.
Okay, so here's what I'd like to do as part of setting up for the agenda for our next meeting. I'd like to ask that we include in that agenda just a brief review of the rosters to see if there are any specific questions that need to be answered. Having an update on the number of vacancies that we still have to fill would be good. Might be appropriate for us to just verify that we're looking at the same people on the same roster. I do this little thing called data validation, where I try to eliminate duplicates, because sometimes the data that I get has duplicates in it, and so I just want to make sure that we're truly working off exactly the same. And I know that some of the folks that were listed in the data rosters you gave were marked for retirement.
On the
which-
11th? Yeah, we have a few that are retiring after the 11th. They're retiring later this month.
End of the month, yes.
Yes, but it can only capture who's there that day.
Correct.
But it should have a date, or if they're taking a leave of absence or something like that. One thing I've noticed on the rosters, if you prefer, even for instructional, if you wanted, you could put down an hourly rate, because even those that show up on two lines, it would show that they work this many days on this line and this many days on this line. So what I've done in the past is I just do everyone at an hourly rate, and do whatever you pull it up. If not, you're counting somebody at 51.5 and 51.5, all of a sudden, they aren't making, you know, $102,000, $103,000 a year. They're making 51.5. So I can ask Joni, actually, I'll have her pull one up, sample one, to see if it'll still show up the same way.
Well, I can verify what we sent Fallon, the team. It was 11:07 as of 8:11.
Were there any duplicates in there? Were
I'd
there
have
two
to go
names on
through.
one line?
Right, it could be
Names
some.
on- That's what, because they may be costed here, costed there, or like sometimes gifted teachers are at one school and then they're at another school and they show up twice. So I'll try to pull and see if we can get an hourly rate.
Okay.
It sounds silly, but then it will show up the total cost over on the right side would all be the same, whenever you total it down at the bottom.
So if you don't mind, we can put that at the top of the agenda for the next meeting to just walk through the rosters and verify that we're looking at the information the same way.
Okay, here's the problem. If I pull vacancies aren't gonna be based on the 8/11 roster. They'll be based on whenever we pull the vacancies.
Well, that's okay.
That's how we got messed up
It's a general,
before.
it's a general estimate, round up. Hopefully there's not that much
All right,
change between the 11th
All right,
and.
here's what I'm gonna propose. Whenever I can pull a new roster meeting, those exact same requirements that we said before, for instructional and support, along with vacancies, at the same date. And then I can send them to you guys, and then we can all be looking at, and then, by the way, I wish we had it up
Okay.
here. It always has a date at the top, it'll say 8.11.25, so whenever we look at the file, we can always see which date we're talking about. So this one may say 8.25.25 or something to that effect.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I would really like it where all, as we've gotten in trouble. I know it's general, but if we could do that, I'll pull one up.
That's fine, that'll
Yeah.
work.
Okay.
And I appreciate the inclusion of the list of folks who were on leave
Leave,
as
okay.
well.
Yeah.
can start with that one at
Mhm.
the next meeting.
So new rosters with vacancies, vacancy and leave of absence, okay, that should be cool.
And I would like, can I assign homework?
Yeah, but I'm gonna be like a kid, you can't guarantee it's gonna be turned in. What is it?
I would like, and I'm just gonna put this out there, it's little used language, but when we do have to use it, it should make sense to everyone.
All right.
I would like, for us to, take a look at the grievance language.
Okay.
And, it's not organized in a way that makes it very easy
No,
to
but the
determine
Informal, formal.
steps
That was- that was-
versus
I was
levels
That's what
versus.
I'm scrolling through the contract here and I'm seeing some, oh, that's a good call. And I saw informal step and I stopped and go, never mind, it's grievance. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are, so
Try to pull
part
it.
of the challenge we have in just trying to do the cleanup is that some of this, when you start cleaning it, actually is going to dictate interpretation. Like, where it refers to, the language refers in one place to stopping at step 4, but there's no number 4 anywhere in the section to indicate
Yeah.
what step 4 is. So I would love if everybody just took it on as a little pet project to take a look at the grievance language and see if in your head you can work out what you think the steps of the grievance process are. And if we can start with an understanding of it should be steps in this order, then we can build the language to go around that a little bit more tidily. Does that make sense? Like I said, obviously not something we've had to use a whole heck of a lot.
I can't even figure out when this could have possibly been put in here.
It's probably been a minute.
I've looked at this several times, every time I look at it, I shake my head. Because it's got time limits on it, you know, conflict resolution, then goes to the informal step, and then, yeah.
It inserts the actual rules for the process in the middle of the process. It's
Mhm.
not, it is not super great clean language, and so if we can agree on the flow of what that process should look like, the cleanup of the language should not be an issue. I just don't wanna reconstruct the flow and change the process as I'm trying to clean.
Okay. You're gonna be the mean teacher. Get everybody homework on the first day.
I am, homework on the first day, let's see who my A+ students are.
All right, Brendan, put that one on you.
And I believe something that will assist in making sure that that process is clear would be for us to introduce a grievance form as
Which one,
an
for informal
appendix.
or for formal?
Formal.
Okay.
We can take the form that we have and put it as an appendix to provide clarity for folks who may be thinking through that process.
So would that form be attached?
I would propose that the form become an appendix of
That's
the
what I mean,
contract.
an appendix, yeah. Yes, is it, I have it, both, is it the same, both contracts? Or is it like everything
Yeah.
else where there's something that's a little
Yeah,
bit off in both?
it's messy in both.
Okay, all right.
It's the same mess in both,
Yeah.
yeah.
if we were to clean up one, do you think it would they be able possibly to serve for both?
Yes,
Okay.
it should be the same
I
process.
can't, it shouldn't, as I'm reading it now, it doesn't appear that it should be that much different between the two.
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
You just need to review that for substance, because the cleanup of that section can't be done until we know what the process is.
Any others? No? Only on page 2.
We will no doubt have some other things to look at in terms of substance when we get to the other side of the cleanup, but in my mind, that was the priority one.
So the information on those rosters was accurate as to what you, the headings, those were the?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll just keep that same email when I request these new ones,
Okay.
with the vacancies. We have, say, next week, we have our health insurance committee meeting.
Next Tuesday.
All right, so next week, we have our health insurance committee meeting. So after that, we can, we'll come present the same information we presented to the health insurance committee, to this group here. Diana, you're still on the committee, right? Okay, Diana's still on the committee, so she'll see that information at the meeting, but we'll present it here like we have in the past.
Perfect, perfect.
And it's 2 tomorrow or 2:30?
It's next Tuesday, the 26th.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll send a reminder next Monday.
Okay, so,
We didn't have these tables last time. We met.
No, we did not.
We did, so I'm sorry, just housekeeping. We didn't have all these tables down here when last time we met as a health insurance.
I don't know where they came from.
I don't either.
Got rid of the big
Yeah,
bulky
they
ones
did.
and they.
Yeah, oh, you mean the?
But these can be folded up and put up in the,
Oh, okay.
The bigger ones we use.
I think they can,
Probably not, no, that's
No.
okay. I apologize. We just never had this many tables down here for our meeting.
that's
They won't
okay.
let me go, Richard. They won't let me leave the basement.
So in terms of prioritizing items, and just to make sure that we are prepared for discussion in our next session, we're gonna start with the roster review, make sure that we're capturing the data of the bargaining units. We're going to discuss the grievance flow of grievance. And then we can start looking through some of the items of interest. So what would you like to include in the first agenda?
We can start with, we can do the work-life balance. I would prefer to wait for number 2 for the inequities in contract with the paid holidays. If it's possible, we could discuss that when we discuss economics. I would prefer that. Not to lose it in that, but I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, so to speak. I want to be able to, I'll be on the same page with that one.
You wanna hit dress code?
Sure.
That'll get people excited.
The people are gonna go back and read it and go, what in the world were they thinking? My answer's gonna be, I have no idea. But yeah, absolutely dress code.
Maybe one more.
I think Brenda and I might be able to have a draft of the, kind of what the calendar thing might look like, if we can bring that back to the group, and everybody kind of take a look and see if it makes sense to them.
Okay.
I figure if we start with just one, maybe the parapros, and then if that looks okay, then we can figure out how to make it work for everyone else. So maybe show yours, you're 251, right? Yours a little easier, you just show up to work every day, right? Yeah, okay.
Just don't go home.
Michelle's like, I just
Solves
show up.
all the problems,
Yeah.
just don't go home.
So, but if we start, maybe Brenda, if we come in with just the ones for the 182s, and kind of see if that works, and then if that's the case, then we can, as a draft, and see if we can then come up later on with, I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time coming up with 18 calendars and they don't make, none of them make sense. We'll start with one, if that makes sense, and we can come back and bring some others. So we'll bring that one to the table, to see for any input for anybody on that one.
Okay,
All right?
all right, so when shall we meet again? When will I see
Are
you?
you gonna, you say every Monday.
How about every Wednesday?
Killing me.
Every other Thursday until noon.
So, Bill.
Ask Val when she's available.
This Val?
Yes, gotta
Well,
have the note taker.
I was kinda like,
It's vacation the rest of the year. We come back after ratification.
I just need to know in advance, cause I work another job,
Yeah.
so. Mondays and Tuesdays are usually my availability at conflicts, but if I know in advance, I can rearrange.
One big
But it
downside with
doesn't really matter.
Tuesdays that we have board meetings in the afternoons on,
Right.
once a month, but,
Or you want it every week, or every other week, or once a month, or what?
Every other week is a pretty decent pace because everybody has day jobs and it gives us a chance
to
to.
collect the things we want to collect.
Yes.
All right, so.
I mean, unless
that
y'all
would
are
be-
dying to come back here like 2 days
2 weeks
from
would
now.
be Labor Day holiday from today.
Right.
Already.
We might have to move off of Mondays too.
Would Tuesdays be better for a while, around here? Tuesdays instead of Mondays?
Tuesday's middle school football.
Oh, I
And there's
forgot.
also, like you said, there's board meetings a
Board
couple times
meetings
a
on
month.
Tuesday,
too.
yes.
Mondays are definitely better. I like Mondays.
Mondays are better for everybody.
So if we did. We could do next Monday and then begin alternating every other Monday.
What do you,
How do Wednesdays look?
I can't do Wednesdays. Church.
I know Thursdays and Fridays are out for a lot of people because of sports, so that's not a good time for lots. And Tuesday's out because of sports, Thursday's out because of after-school sports, and Friday's out. So that leaves us with either Monday
no,
or
that just-
Wednesday.
That just leaves us
would be
with Monday because.
just
people-
Monday.
People will have things on Wednesday, like I said, people will have church,
Yes,
people have other
church.
things, so.
So Monday is our best time, best day.
So if we meet next Monday, and after that would be the 8th, the earliest.
Mm-hmm. So Monday the 25th, and then Monday the 8th,
Would have to be.
at 4:30, 8th?
Yeah, that's the absolute
Of
earliest.
September.
Actually I left it, they all know, I left the meeting to come down at 4:25 to try to talk with them for a minute before we even came in here, so. But we can't start any later than 4:30. I mean,
Okay.
9th is the school board meeting. That's when we take the budget to the board, so after that, if we
It's
want to
also
start.
the week that the annual financial reports due, correct?
So if we want, after that, if we wanted to, so if we could just all be in agreement that economics, if we could wait till after that goes to the board and gets approved, I would appreciate that. Okay, thank you. Feel free to talk about it, just don't expect
So
us to
pick
say
up
anything in
economics like on the
return. Yeah.
22nd.
Talk all you like amongst yourselves. No, but after that, then it'll be a different story. I
Okay.
appreciate that. All right, so we're looking at the 25th, bonus points for any of you who come in here on Labor Day and can't get in. And then we'll come back on the 8th, 4:30. We'll have the technology squared away, so that way we can start right at 4:30. We can go from there. All right?
Are you gonna schedule it any further than the 8th? Or are you gonna schedule it like the 22nd?
Well, I can tell you,
September?
beginning the 10th, Mr. Bonomo gets a little bit busy because he'll be doing the roadshow, health insurance roadshow.
They're all.
Oh, that'll be on October 10th or September 10th?
September 10th.
Okay.
We start the day after the board meeting.
Oh, okay.
And I get to go as comic relief and plant batting and stuff like that. So we'll be running around to different schools, so it might be a challenge. I don't believe that there are too many schools that we'd be there Monday afternoon, but we'll have that scheduled pretty soon, so we'll be able to tell if Monday afternoon wouldn't work for us. Okay. And that goes through the end of September.
Yeah, I think the first couple of days of October.
Yeah, right up until open enrollment begins, yeah.
Okay, so my plan then is to set the 25th and the 8th hard on the calendar, and I'm gonna go ahead and tentatively hold the 22nd and the 6th of October.
Wow, you're scooting way ahead here. All right, so what days in October?
You'd be looking at the 6th and the 20th.
6th. Brendan, that's the 20th is the last week, that's that Monday, the last week of open enrollment.
We got it set for the 6th all the way up to the 24th.
Yeah, that Monday's the last.
Yes.
Three
Three
days.
days.
And I see you're gonna be out of town for part of that week.
I don't know.
Congratulations.
I don't know. I'll let you know.
Yeah. So yeah, those 2 days should work. The 20th may be, we'll let you know if the 6th won't work, because if we have to be out at a school, but the 20th should work. But we'll be done with the roadshow by then. Yeah,
Yes. It should be done by the 3rd.
okay. Well, last time we
I
had
know.
a couple hurricanes, we pushed a little bit, hopefully that doesn't.
Don't say that
Oh,
word.
no, hey, listen, we lived that word, all right?
I don't have any room.
We pushed
Every
down
day.
to the right.
No
Said
wood.
it out loud.
Every day we got
There's
something.
no wood.
Said it out
No,
loud.
For my kids.
no, we don't hide from that anymore.
Oh, there's another one behind there.
Don't say
I
that
have
word.
to watch it.
I know you do, I know you do.
That's what's back.
Okay.
It's coming
Oh,
behind
boy.
me. That's all, that's good.
Where do you
I
think?
just wish you did.
Where do you think?
Good
we
job.
are?
You did good. You did
Let's see
well.
this. No?
Okay, so we're gonna shoot for a start time of 4:30.
Yes.
And I wanna make sure that everybody knows that if you can't be here right at 4:30, feel free to come in late. 'Cause we'd rather have you here than not. We'd rather have you here
If
than
you
not.
can't be here by 4:30, you may wanna text someone to let you in, because the door may be.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, that's fine.
We don't wanna lock people out, but we do have to secure the entrance to the building, so, unless we wanna put somebody up there till like 4:45, 5 o'clock, or something like that,
We'll stay
we don't have an
somewhere if
option,
we
there
have
has to be, we have to secure the building, starting earlier it's a big challenge for anybody from elementary to be able to get over here, from anywhere, so 4:30 is kind of the latest we can, really earliest we can start, so.
Okey-doke.
All right. Anything
So,
else?
dress code and the grievance, procedure are.
Roster review,
things y'all might
grievance.
wanna just take a peek at, be ready for discussion next time we meet.
And we'll try to bring some drafts of the Parapro calendar, start and date calendar. And if everybody, if that looks kind of good, then we can move forward with some of them, because there will be a lot of them.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of them. But if that looks good, then we can kind of bring some drafts of the others and then move forward with getting them put on the website.
Okay, so we have August 25th, September 8th, September 22nd, October 6th, and October 20th.
All right? All right, anything else for the good of the group?
Why don't you tell again